Guitar gear disappointment, expectations versus reality. Let's talk about it. So last week, if you're a guitar player, you couldn't not see the huge release behind the second version of the Kemper Profiling Amplifier. And I think a lot of lessons were learned both from a user point of view, but also probably from Kemper's marketing team. So to summarize the release of the sequel to the Kemper Profiling Amplifier, the Kemper 2, there was a lot of communal disappointment. I saw some anger. I saw a lot of comments blasting them for what can be boiled down to basically, as of right now, putting the same engine, the same 12-year-old engine into a new car. They slapped some paint on it and said, here's the second one. And understandably, a lot of people were upset by this. Now, in order to understand why that is, I think we need to take a step back and zoom out onto the greater guitar industry. And we have seen massive amounts of innovation in the last, I don't know, decade or more, coming from something like the original Line 6 Pod and going to the Fractal Axe Effects, the original Kemper Profiling Amplifier, or more recently, the Neural DSP Quad Cortex. I think as a community, we have gotten accustomed to giant leaps and bounds of technology and innovation, and that's kind of become the norm and just what's expected for any new product to some extent. So all the way back in January 2011 at the Winter NAMM show, the Kemper Profiler was debuted, and now you can see a lot of profiling and tone capture options in everything from $99 pedals all the way up to the aforementioned Quad Cortex. However, back in 2011, capturing a signal chain sonically and have it sound anything like your original signal chain was straight up black magic. I cannot overstate that at all. What the Kemper Profiling Amplifier did for digital was incredible. Now, when you come in as hot as Kemper did back at the NAMM show in 2011, that really made everyone want to be that much better. Everyone saw as a company and as an industry how good the tech could get, and everyone started doing cool stuff. Now, amplifier captures, pedal captures, tone captures is very commonplace, and I would argue pretty expected as a standard piece of kit in your sonic toolbox on just about every guitar playing platform. Now, I think there's an unspoken rule when it comes to product iterations. The longer you take, the better something is going to be when the new version of it comes out, right? And considering the Kemper Profiler came out, and again, January 2011, it's been a really long time now. Yes, it has had many software changes and has had many updates and some features added, and you know, the profiling algorithm has been updated. However, for all intents and purposes, it's been basically unchanged. Now, I met Christoph Kemper at the NAMM show. It would have been 2016, 2017. And even back then, I asked him, you know, hey, are you guys working on the next version of the Kemper? And he looked at me blankly and said, there's no need for a successor to the Kemper Profiler because it's perfect. And I thought, ooh, that's a dangerous attitude. Now, often in the tech world, the new version of any given thing, whether that is a video camera, a guitar processor, a MacBook, or whatever, generally is going to have something that's better to hang your hat on, and the Kemper Profiler 2 simply does not have that. It's all marketing, and there are some under-the-hood improvements, of course. However, if you were to plug in the 1 or the 2 and hit a chord using the same profile, they would inherently sound the same. Really, this should have been a Kemper update, but instead, what we got was basically a Pod HD version of the Kemper, right? It's black now, and your old profiles can work. So in conclusion, I think Kemper really biffed an amazing opportunity, and they have basically put another coat of paint on the same car and said, here's the new version. And that has a lot of people upset. What they had an opportunity to do was to integrate profiles, and the plugin world, much like Neural DSP is finally doing with their quad cortex, or do any number of sonic improvements as opposed to just incremental improvements that perhaps should have been included in the original Kemper profiler to begin with. Over the years, there was nothing stopping them from just updating the original Kemper as it is, with more CPU and more functionality and 48K support, etc., etc. But instead, they packaged a bunch of little things and then called it the sequel. And I think that's why a lot of the user base feels like it's just a big nothing burger. And I think all companies should be paying attention to the Kemper 2 rollout, as it's not what to do. As a company and as a marketing strategy, shouldn't do that. You should try harder. What do you think? How did you feel about the Kemper 2 launch? Do you think it's worthwhile? Will you be getting a Kemper 2? Is there any reason for you, dear user, to upgrade from the original Kemper, which is perfectly good and usable and sounds amazing, in my opinion? I will link down below in the description. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.